A very happy afternoon to one and all present here. I am Saida Safarida and I'll be your host for today. It's an honor to have you all here as we dive into an important and empowering discussion on Women in Leadership Series 18. I welcome our Principal Ma'am, Dr. Naglakshmi BN, and our Chief Guest, Ms. Meghna Datta Ma'am. Today, we are all here to explore and celebrate the pivotal role that women play in leadership in various sectors. From breaking barriers to glass ceilings, women have continuously proven their strength, vision, and capability. We are excited to spotlight a unique intersection of creativity, leadership, and adventure. We are thrilled to have with us Ms. Meghna Datta Ma'am, who embodies what it means to be a leader, not just in her field, but also in the way she sees the world, literally and figuratively. Ma'am is a practicing architect and co-founder of Studio Decode, established in 2006, which is recognized for its commitment to design and transformation through sustainability. She leads the firm's initiatives and sustainable research and implementation across diverse projects, including institutional campuses, museums, offices, homes, and hospitality spaces. Her work has garnered both national and international acclaims, with 2 buildings awarded grants by the United Nations Development Programme for Innovation in Sustainable Design. Guided by a philosophy of enhancing societal quality of life, Meghna Ma'am integrates urban design interventions to address critical environmental and urban challenges, striving to make cities more livable. She is also a prominent advocate for sustainability, delivering lectures at conferences, TED platforms, and educational institutions while serving as a visiting faculty in architecture schools. Meghna Ma'am holds a bachelor's in architecture from India and master's in architecture from Syracuse University and a master's in sustainability from Harvard University. Her multidisciplinary expertise empowers her to lead transformative projects and inspire innovation in sustainability. We are honored to have you here, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
So good morning everyone, actually good afternoon. So I'm so happy to see so many of you gathered here today, and it's an excellent initiative by your college. Thanks to Mr. Jairaj who connected me to your college, and they connected and asked me if I could come and talk to you about the idea of women in leadership. But more importantly, I would like to talk about 2 things. One is celebrating the fact that we are all women here, the power of women, and secondly, it's a presentation that I also have about sustainability, climate change, and what each of you, whichever field you choose to go to, about being conscious and being responsible and taking the right decision going forward. Whether you are in a business or you join a firm, the fact that you need to save the planet is very important, and that can happen in so many different ways. Now, when we say celebrating the female gender, right, what comes to your mind about the power of being a woman? Just give me some adjectives, right? You can say multitasking or things like that. What comes to your mind immediately? You've seen your mother, your teachers, so many examples in your life. What is the first point that comes to you? Could you just say anything? Just give a face. Or you can pass it on. Anybody, just raise your hand and tell me. Absolutely. Then? Anything else? Strength, multitasking, care, concern, love, affection, right? Responsibility, sacrifice, absolutely. What else? Empathy, that is the most important. Then?
Compromising nature.
Yes, compromising. And everything with the same amount of intent. They will take care of you, they will work at office, they will never say no. Patience, yes, and so there are so many, right? You can go on and on and on. If you just start thinking and describing even one woman who's played an influential role in your life, whether it's a mom, grandmother, teacher, you can list out so many qualities. That's the power of being a woman. So it's about multitasking, being emotional, and making everything personal. You develop relationships, you keep a family together, you keep an office together, you just make relationships, and the bonds that you build is what keeps things together. And if you see historically, if you compare Cinderella and all that, where they've always portrayed women as weak, whereas in our Indian history, you will always see a woman portrayed as powerful. Whether it's Rani Ki Jhansi or Kittu Ki Chinnamma, you can go on. You have so many examples, including, like, everybody has seen Ramayana, right? So if you see Rama and Sita, she was a princess. She didn't have to accompany him to go for the 14 years to the forest. But she chose to. She was ready to endure the challenges, right? Ready to walk side by side and face everything that comes through their path or through their journey, because that was the courage of women in historical India compared to the West. We were always considered as equal. They would even go to the court. They would play a role with the kings in, talking about politics, affairs, having discussions, making them understand, decide. So that's how it was. I think even our Prime Minister, probably in India, was one of the first countries to have a woman Prime Minister. Even today, US will not vote for a woman president. Even though she was so qualified, one of the only reasons probably she lost is because she was a woman. They're not ready to accept women as a leader. They'll accept her as a second, third, fifth, but not at the top. Right? So you need to appreciate the fact that you come from a lineage in a country like India, and we should be proud of the fact that we are born as women over here, because we have equal opportunities. Yes, maybe not in everything, but I think the doors are opening much more than it was before. Right? It's going back to how it was earlier, maybe 500 years back or 1,000 years back. It is coming back like where women were considered equal. And it is like that now, and it's the best time to be. You have opportunities everywhere. Right? Now, the next part is understanding that you have the strength, you have the power to make a change, make an impact in the world. Okay? So, what do you do now? Now you need to find yourself. Who are you really? What do you want to do? What is your purpose in life? Why are you here on earth today? There is a reason. Why do you wake up every morning? There has to be a reason for you to get up. What makes you get up and say, okay, there is something that I look forward to? Unless you have a purpose in life, your life just goes on. 50 years will go by and you will realize you've not even tapped into your potential. And that is what happens to most of the people, not just male or female. I'm saying the potential is not tapped. Because you are not questioning yourself, you are not describing yourself, you are not writing it down as this is my goal. Goals can change every year, no problem. But you at least have to know what is your immediate goal. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And then the next mistake that a lot of people make is you have a goal that's written down, but you don't have the smaller steps written to achieve that goal. So what happens, it looks like a Herculean task to get there. But if you write the 10 intermediate steps, then you automatically reach there, probably beyond that also, beyond that expectation. So when I take a class, right, whether it's, I used to go as visiting faculty for architecture once a week for 10 years, and then I stopped now because our work itself is quite time consuming. So now I go only to train the teachers in architecture colleges, right? So first thing I tell them is, the students, take a piece of paper, describe yourself in 100 words. How unique are you? 99% of them are not able to describe themselves because they've never done deep. They've never questioned. Right? And you will realize all the papers will be like, I'm hardworking, I'm sincere, I'm good at this, good at that. But what else? If I read it, did I know who you are? That is what is important. How do you describe yourself? Once you write that, and you write your goals, and you stick to the fact that you write how you're going to achieve it, you will see a lot of difference. There's something called concentric circles that we do, where you put the goal in the center, right? And you put another circle over there, where you write, what do you do during the day in your 24 hours? Nobody is saying you have to work 24 hours. But write down what you do during the day, and you will realize how many hours you're actually putting truly that makes you happy and that makes you understand that you're moving in a certain path. If you don't have that written down, you again get lost, and a lot of your time just goes by, okay, I'll finish this subject, I'll get this many marks, I'll go to the next year, I'll go to the next year, you finish college, you get a job, and then what, you know? Are you really doing something that you're truly gifted and talented? Because each one has a talent, each one has a gift. The next thing is, like when I say higher purpose, right? One is your work, your passion, your life, and your other thing is, what are you doing to give back to the society? The fact that you are here today studying in a good college, that means you're privileged. The fact that you can read, you can write, you can go back home, you have food on your table, you have shelter, you are privileged. Okay? So what are you doing to give back to the society? When we say what are you doing to give back, doesn't mean you have to give money. Nobody is saying that. Find your purpose and how you can make a difference. It could be one person, it could be 5 people, it could be 10 people. Right? You can maybe spend once a week in probably teaching someone. Maybe go to a slum, help them with their homework or help them with their tuitions. If you're good at a certain subject and you're good at teaching, you can do that. If you're good at maybe landscaping, you can volunteer with the government and say, you know what, I will take care of this landscape. I will help you design it. I will choose the trees for you. And then we can make that difference happen. Or if you're interested in waste management, figure out how you can speak in your lane, right? To go to each house and say, let's all come together and decide that this is how we will manage our waste. So that the waste can actually be turned into manure, and the manure can make money for the guy who's going to pick it up, if it is organized. Or let's say you have the garbage truck that goes by. How many of you all have seen how pathetic the truck condition is, right? What do you see? That guy sitting on the garbage. Who picks up the garbage is actually sitting on the garbage. Maybe we can come together and say, let's design it. That same auto, let's figure out how it can be slightly modified. Like how you would do your interiors in a room, right? In your own room, you would rearrange things so that everything looks nice, comfortable. Just rearrange it and see how his life changes. The fact that you're giving him respect. So identify problems that you connect with when you go back, when you walk, when you drive. Keep your eyes open and see, okay, this is a problem, but I have a solution for it. Because each one's eyes goes to a different problem, because that is what we're intrinsically connected with. Because that is what we have passion for, we have empathy for. It's not that we don't have empathy for everything, but this somehow immediately connects to you. So find those reasons, find that purpose and make it into a reality where you actually give back to the society. Okay, you can come together, work together, have clubs where you say, okay, this is a club only to, it's almost like a social, for-profit entrepreneurship. Do you understand what it is? A lot of startups today have come up and are very successful because they came with the idea of solving a problem. And they became hugely successful. Whether you see Dunzo, whether you see Uber, it's all a problem that a society had, and they converted it into a multi-crore business. So that is what you need to start thinking about. Okay, so following that, it's about being a woman entrepreneur. So you take your passion, you take your talent, you take your whatever you're gifted with, you convert it into a business and become an entrepreneur. Okay, and India is a great place. It is a landscape for startups and ventures. Because that freedom is there and you're highly encouraged, especially even more so women entrepreneurs. Because right now in the startup industry, I think only 4% or 8% is women. It's a very, very low thing. It's increasing, but it's still very low. Okay. So just to share a little bit of my background. So I was born and brought up in Bangalore and came from a very traditional family. Most families were traditional at that time, where it was out of question to even go to a co-ed college. So it had to be only girls' school, girls' college. And at that time there were no professional only girls' college. All the professional engineering, architecture, whatever those professional degrees were always co-ed. So even to get into a co-ed college, I had to fight with my parents saying I need to do this because this is what I want to do in my life. So I was the only person in maybe 100 cousins of mine to get into a co-ed college at that time. Now it's taken for granted. You choose your degree, you choose your college. Nobody's going to question you, are you going to a girls' college or are you going to a co-ed college, right? But that time that's how it was. And my brother was sent to US for undergrad. But as a girl, even though I was scoring much better than him, I wanted to go to IIT. It was no. Whichever college is closest to the house, which was BMS for me, which was 5 minutes away, this is where you're going now that we've agreed to co-ed, accept this. So this is where you compromise. You say, okay, I'm not going to IIT, it's not the end of the world. Right? At least they've accepted the fact that they're going to send me to a co-ed college. So that is the first step. Right? But within 5 years, times change, right? Every 5-10 years, life changes. So after 5 years, they said, okay, we are ready to send you for masters. Because my brother was already there. Now we are ready to send you not for undergrad, for masters. But you get married anyway. So that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to get married anymore because I wanted to focus on my education. Education was very important for me. To stand up on my own feet was very important. To have an identity was very important. To have a purpose was very important. And I was not ready to compromise on any of those things. So of course, blackmail, emotional blackmail, we'll kill ourselves if you go and all that stuff, full drama. But that's how life was at that time. But they accepted it because they loved me. At the end of it, your parents love you. It's just that how much patience do you have to explain to them why is it important for you? You are not going there to party. You have a reason, you have a purpose. If you explain to them, even today, there may be a different obstacle that you face to convince your parents or the older people, right? But it's about having the patience to tell them truly why you want to do what you want to do. And if you're honest, you're sincere, life will give you that path. It's just about waiting for the right moment. So then I went to US I did my first master's over there in Syracuse in New York and got complete scholarship and everything. So they were very happy with the fact. So continued working over there, but I still felt that something was missing in my life. I was not satisfied because I was not probably able to give back to the society as much as I wanted to. So after working there for 7 years, I reapplied for my second master's in Harvard. And I got in, but at that time I applied for PhD, not master's, PhD. So I got in because I was working in a very good firm in Boston, where all the directors were from Harvard or MIT. So it was a very easy, gradual transition to go and continue studying in Harvard on environmental policy and development because my undergrad was on architecture. So I wanted to do environment and how can I make a difference in a larger cityscape or townscape or create new towns. So that was my passion at that time. So of course I got into PhD, but then my husband and I decided we wanted to move back. So that was compromise. So I gave up my whatever I had gotten, but I didn't join. I said this is more important to go back to India because that is a bigger thing for me than to stay back in the US and do the degree. I said I can always come back and do the degree. So I went back to India because I didn't want my husband to change the next year and say, okay, we're not going back. Because in my mind, I knew I had to come back to India. I could not live in the US for the rest of my life because for me, this is home and this is where I can give back to the society, whatever I have learned, right? So I gave up and everybody was shocked saying, who gives up? When you get admission in Harvard, who gives up, right? So I gave up. And the next year I came back to India. I said, okay, I'll help you set up the firm because we're both architects. So a year later, again I reapplied. Again I got in. Booked my ticket, booked my visa, got pregnant. So my husband said, either the baby or college. You decide. But you cannot do both. I said, I can do both. Of course I can do both, you know. I'm capable of taking care of my pregnancy and I'm capable of studying. He said, no. So that is again compromise. So second time I cancelled after booking my ticket. So it was just a few weeks that I had to fly and I cancelled. So that is compromise. But again, it's not the end of the world because God has His own way of telling you, maybe 5 years, 10 years later, when you look back, maybe that was the best thing that would have happened to me. Now when I look back, I feel that was the best thing. That I did not go at that time. So I had 2 kids and went back at the age of 40. Because I never gave up my dream. I said, I need to go. So the kids were old enough. So I said, now I am going. But of course, I didn't do a PhD because I can't leave my kids for so long. But I did a master's. So that is a compromise. But it is okay. It's still worth the wait. But at 40, I did a different program. Right? It was more, the people in the class were all my age. The average age was 39. And I didn't go to the architecture department at that time, but I went into a multidisciplinary department where we had people from finance, we had people from the government, we had people from, like law, all people mid-career who were taking a break and specializing in what they really wanted to at the age of 40. So it was an excellent, excellent experience, and I would not have got the same thing if I had done it 10 years back. So when I look back, I feel this is the best thing that could have happened. But at that point, yes, of course I was disappointed. But I always knew it was never the end of the world. That is the power of women, that we never give up. Have you ever seen your mother or anybody give up? They will always say, okay, let's find another alternative. Let's find another solution. It's okay. How many compromises do they do every single day? But they say it's okay with a smile because they know there's something better out there. But as long as you keep moving in the right direction. But if you lose your track and you give up, saying, I am undone, I have all these kind of hurdles in my life. Trust me, each person has their own hurdles. Each person has their own journey. It's just that maybe you have few difficult years now, somebody else may have few difficult years later. But it's about how you perceive it, how you see it positively is the most important, right? So once I finished, I was working obviously in my own firm, then I went to Harvard. I was always working even while I was studying. So it was an 18-hour day. Sometimes I used to sleep for 2 hours. Not sometimes, actually most of the time. So I would go to the doctor every 3 months to check my heart. Because 2 hours of sleep is not healthy. But that was the only way I could study. Because I had to manage my finances. I had to make sure I bring in money because I have 2 kids as well. Because my husband and I both working. You can't suddenly change your financial status and manage with half. So you still need to do it. So I said, okay, I will work 8 hours. I will study 8 hours. I will do my homework. I will sleep for 2 hours. That's the only compromise, right? So I said, okay. So the doctors obviously said, you're crazy. Who does things like that for 2 years? It's not for 1 week. I said, when we give birth, as a mother, how many hours does one sleep? Hardly, right? You're awake the whole night. Every few hours you're awake. So I said, if I can do that twice, like normal mothers, I can do this again for 2 years. It's not a big deal. Right? And it's completely in my control because I am studying, I am sleeping less, but I'm taking care of my health. I would never miss my gym. I would never miss because health was very important. Only my sleep was compromised. So, and those 2 years were the happiest in my life. Everybody else would have thought, you're killing yourself, you're torturing yourself, you're working so hard. There was no social life. But the energy, the high that you get when you do what you want to do, that's all matters. For you, the high may be something else. For you, the high may be something else. Somebody may be trekking, somebody could be a sport, somebody could be an art. But the high that you get when you find your purpose, there is nothing like that. So finding your purpose is the best thing. Suicide, depression, everything will reduce only if you find a purpose. Unfortunately, no school spends time in helping students find themselves. You cannot find yourselves without a guided kind of a process. You don't have to go to a counselor and pay thousands of rupees if schools integrate the idea of finding yourself. Why do people go to counselors? Because they're depressed. Why are they depressed? Because there's no purpose. If one hurdle comes your way, you feel it's the end of the world, you feel you're a failure, and you give up. But if you find your purpose, your happiness, you will find 100 ways to get there because you love it so much. You know, you will just do anything you want for what you love. If you don't know what you love, why will you fight for it? So you need to find for what you love, right? And going forward again, you know, when you get into a workplace, as women, the reason why I'm telling you is all women, you're going to get into a workplace, you're going to be entrepreneurs, you're going to have hurdles, there is no doubt about it. You will have more hurdles than a man has, there is no doubt about it. So especially in my field, as an architect, I'm talking about when I started in Bangalore, right, 18 years back. So one of our projects was Karnataka Power Corporation. It's a government project where we did platinum rated green building for them. So it would be a hall full of men, 30, 40 men, all board of the board, you know, the chief secretary, and all of them would be there. I would be the woman over there. They would say, why hasn't your husband come? I said, I'm also an architect. They would never accept it for 6 months, even though I was equally qualified and in sustainability more qualified, because that was my specialization. Why isn't your husband there? And if I go to the site, they will think that I know nothing. Right? It would take me 6 months to 1 year to make the board understand I'm equally capable and equally knowledgeable about what you are asking me. And you have to prove yourself. Nothing comes easy, right? You can't just say I'm equally capable. Through the way you converse, through the way you show confidence, through your body language, they need to know you know your subject. So you need to be prepared much more than a man prepares before he goes for a board meeting. And that is something we need to do, and it is okay. If you're going to prepare a little more so it gives you confidence, so what? Right? But once they trust you, they respect you, they get connected to you more than they would get connected to another man. The reason is because they know as a woman, like you said, you have empathy and you fall in love with what you do, right? So every project for me, it's like my baby. So from the start to the end, it's like you're nurturing the baby, building it and seeing it, and you get so connected that the clients become your best friends. Because of that attachment that you build, that personalization that you give, it's not just a job, it's something more for you, right? So it just takes that little extra effort, but then you leave a very good impact. So that's about gender discrimination that you are going to face in certain industries, not all industries, but you should be prepared for it and never take it as a bad, like something that is bad for you. So, is there really a balance, what do you say, between work and home for mothers? There is nothing called a balance. So if somebody tells you you're going to be able to manage everything perfectly, it's not true. Every day it's a compromise. Every day you're trying to strike a balance. Every single day. One day I go home late, my daughter will say, you don't like me. Because she's young, obviously she's 13. You don't care. What kind of a mother are you? Will they say that to a father? Never. Right? Never. But for a mother, you would have probably stayed back with her because she was sick till 2, 3 in the morning. You will get up early to finish your work so that before she gets up, you can get everything done. Then you will go to work. Your day starts earlier than a day starts for a man. Your day ends later than it ends for a man. And every day you are striking a balance with your children, with your husband, with your in-laws, every single day. But you cannot give up. It is not easy. Sometimes you feel like, why am I really even working? I might as well just stay at home so that my kids will not talk to you like that, right? But they will find some other reason to talk back to you like that, even if you're not working. So it's really up to you to build that strength in you, to understand and to say, I'm doing the best I can. I'm really doing the best I can. I'm trying to take care of my family. I'm trying to do work. I'm trying to balance all relationships. I'm doing the best I can. And sooner or later, you need to understand that. And usually the kids, as they grow older, they will understand, right? But during those years of motherhood, the first 15 to 20 years, is a struggle. Because every day you're answering them. You don't reach on time from a meeting to take them to some place while you're late. You may have the most important meeting with probably the one of the ministers. Doesn't matter to them. Why are you late? As simple as that. Why isn't there food on my table? What I like. Didn't you have time to do it? So you are considered to do everything like a machine. And a lot of times, you forget what you really are doing, right? So you have to keep focusing on yourself, which is why writing down a list as to what really is your goal is important. So when you write your goal, and when you see that you're ticking off the steps, the excitement, the happiness that you get, the joy that you get, is so contagious that your children, your husband, your family, everyone will see it. Because if you are happy, everyone is happy. If you are depressed, you are saying, I'm giving up, the whole family gives up. So it is so important, the responsibility that we bear as a woman, to understand that we need to find our own happiness first, to give happiness to others. And the only way that you find your happiness is to find your purpose. Okay? So I would just like to stop here so that I can open it for 10 minutes for questions, and then we can continue. You can ask me anything. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be something that you're thinking about doing, not sure, you know. So if you don't ask me any questions, I've taught for so many years, I know how to make you open your mouth. Because I'm a mother, I'm a teacher, I'm an professional. So, I want you to just get up and say, it's okay, you have to learn to be bold. That is the first step. Tell me your name. Okay, tell me what your passion is right now. You may not have found your purpose. If you have, share that. And one woman that is really is like an inspiration for you, and what? Just be open. It has to come from your heart. Tell me your name.
Darshini ma'am.
What do you like to do? What do you feel you're strong at? Okay, let's do the other way. Come. You come. Yes. You are going to interview her. Or tell me about her. Do you know her? Okay, who knows you? Best. Let's do it that way. Who knows you best? Come. Get up. So what you are going to do is you are going to tell me about her and she's going to tell me about you. Stand here. Tell me what she's good at. Like somebody to say this yourself is natural.
She's good at caring.
Caring. Okay. Apart from that, what is her skill? What is her strength? What is she good at? She's not good at anything.
She's good at
She's not a friend. So you need to know what your friend is good at. Like somebody will say, oh, you're just such a natural. You can run like nobody. Right? What do you see? You can just draw so easily. You know their strength.
she's good at running.
Running.
Yeah. And she's a part of NCC cadet. She
That
do
is her strength. Yeah.
she do that well. She can manage both NCC and studies
So
also.
that's not easy. NCC also requires a lot of time, lot of effort, and lot of consistent effort. So if you have to describe her, what would you say?
Same thing, ma'am. She'll give.
Ask her that to tell me.
You know about us is the same thing what I did for her, the same thing what she did for me. Same.
She also did NCC.
Yeah, ma'am, she was there, but she took the NCC for the studies sake.
So which something is she good at?
Ma'am, this is the first, we are the first year.
So which something?
She can manage, ma'am, but
You don't manage, not with herself.
she's good at studies, ma'am.
So which at, if you don't know what you are doing, how are you even going to have a purpose? Where is your ambition? Please think, please have each other. If you have friends, talk to each other where you actually dig deep and help the other person also find themselves. You need to have conversations with people who want to have meaningful conversations. It's not just about which reel did you watch today. Okay, who has got 1 lakh Insta followers? And those will be the dumbest things that I have seen. My daughter keeps showing this guy, what is that guy's name? This one person who has one of the biggest followers. Tell me some of the influencers like who have 10 million followers. No, not India. So anyway, so 10 million, 20 million, and you watch those people's reels. You just type in who has the most number of followers, and you will see these some people, right? I can't forget it. And those are the worst. I actually tell her, this is what the youth of today is watching and what is going on in their mind. Seriously, you know. And nobody is saying you shouldn't watch, but watch other things also. How many of you read the newspaper? One person. Do you even care about your country? I mean, there's something called patriotism also. If you're even slightly patriotic, or you want to be patriotic, you should know what is going on around the world. You have to know what is going on around the world. You can't live in, like in this bubble where you just know what the other person is talking to you about and your conversations are so limited. That is why I said make that circle and see how are you bettering yourself every day. Are you even spending 1 hour to improve yourself? By improving yourself, I don't mean by studying maths or physics or chemistry. I mean by saying what are you good at, how can I be better at it. The soft skills are as equally important as your marks. Marks after 10 years, nobody is going to ask you. Who you are is what will stand for you. Please understand the importance of that, right? The fact that nobody reads a newspaper says something, and every time I go to a discussion, it is the same thing. Maybe 2 will be there instead of 1. Including in my office, they don't read. They just don't read. How many of you even understand the importance of history, of culture, of traditions? We have so much, and today if you watch podcasts, right? TRS podcast, how many of you watch? Very good. I'm glad. Please, I think everybody should watch because he's doing a fantastic job in trying to bring in culture, tradition, leadership in a way that is possible for you to learn. If you even don't want to open a book, at least you're listening. Right? And podcasts on leadership, influences. There are so many podcasts on leadership. Spend half an hour, maybe while you walk, while you're getting onto your car or bike or whatever, right? Spend half an hour. There are hundreds of podcasts. Watch one podcast, maybe once in 2 days. The exposure that you get, and the exposure keeps building on, because when you watch one podcast, maybe your mind, gets connected to something and you want to know more. So then you type in that name and you listen to a podcast from him. Then you type another name. So it's always like a chain reaction. And you build up so much knowledge within a few months without really making too much of an effort because you're organized. Okay? So you get a gist of what I'm saying. I don't know if you really enjoyed it or you were sleepy.